We're asked to solve x to the fourth minus 3x cubed plus 6x squared plus 2x minus 60 equals 0. So let's first of all think about the possible rational roots. The possible rational roots will be the factors of 60 divided by the factors of 1. So it's just going to be the factors of 60. And those are plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 5, plus or minus 6, plus or minus 10, plus or minus 12, plus or minus 15, plus or minus 20, plus or minus 30, and plus or minus 60. So we have a lot of things that might possibly work. So let's start our synthetic division. We have 1, negative 3, 6, 2, negative 60. And we'll start going through our list till we find one that works. I think the first one that does work is negative 2. So I'm going to bring my 1 straight down. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 3 plus negative 2 is negative 5. Negative 2 times negative 5 is 10. 6 plus 10 is 16. Negative 2 times 16 is negative 32. Negative 32 plus 2 is negative 30. Negative 2 times negative 30 is 60. Negative 60 plus 60 is 0. So we have that negative 2 is a 0, and that comes from the factor x plus 2. And the other factor is this leftover part of our equation, which would be x cubed minus 5x squared plus 16x minus 30. Now normally at this point we can just factor or use the quadratic formula and we're through, but we still have a cubic. So when we have a cubic, we're going to need to synthetically divide again. Crucial step. Look at what I've drawn a box around. Do not go back to the original equation. Use this new equation that we just made, the 1, negative 5, 16, negative 30. And then just keep going down your list till you find another number that divides into it evenly. You can even go back and use the negative 2 again if you want to. Sometimes that will work twice because you have a double root. So I'm going to keep going down my list till I find another number that divides in evenly. I think I'm going to try 3. So I bring the 1 straight down. 3 times 1 is 3. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. 16 plus negative 6 is 10. 3 times 10 is 30. Negative 30 plus 30 is 0. So 3 is also a 0. So we have x plus 2. We now have x minus 3. And then we have this leftover part, which represents x squared minus 2x plus 10. And that is a quadratic. So to get the rest of the problem, we can either factor that or use the quadratic formula. So our zeros, we're going to have x equals negative 2, x equals 3. And then for this final part, I think it doesn't factor, so we'll have to use the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. So that's going to give us 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 40, which is negative 36 divided by 2. So that's 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 36 would be 6i. The square root of a negative number is the imaginary unit I, divided by 2. So our final answer, 2 divided by 2 is 1, plus or minus 6i divided by 2 is 3i. So notice that according to the fundamental theorem of algebra, because we have degree 4, we should end up with 4 zeros. X equals negative 2, x equals 3, 1 plus 3i, and 1 minus 3i if we include our imaginary answers as well.